Welcome back to the American Pundits. We have a packed show for you today, including a recap of Iowa, and I look forward to New Hampshire. Will the Trump be trumped? We'll share our predictions. Kyle has an update on the immigration crisis in Europe. Josh is back home for the weekend, but Jenna is here too. Well, I'm not quite sure, but she's here. This is the American Pundits. Welcome back, everyone, to the American Pundits. Sorry for missing our last week's show. I was on death row, but I came back to life. Like Jesus
I don't think
did.
you know how death row
Like Jesus
works.
did. 3 days later, I was alive. I can move.
It just feels it's not a good analogy.
No. Yeah, we couldn't do our conservative manifesto. with
Manifesto? I thought you guys were anti-manifestos.
We
thought that
usually
was
don't
one
like
of your
manifestos.
things.
We prefer social contracts.
Anyway, thanks for joining us to the American Pundits. You can check us out at facebook.com/The American Pundits, youtube.com/The American Pundits, or, well, that's about it. That's where you can find us. So we have a lot of talking information. Kyle, are you doing all right over there? Yeah? Headphones not working enough for you?
Now we're good. Now that the music's off.
Oh, the music. I'm sorry.
Because I couldn't
Too loud?
because something's goofy here. We have problems.
We're kind of in the studio that they forgot about. We've been kicked to that level now.
Justin did this to us.
I will agree. It's my fault.
What actually ended up happening?
Justin,
I don't want to talk about it.
he doesn't want to talk about it because Justin forgot to renew our contract or reapply for a show.
Ooh.
But that's not the only.
He skimmed an email, decided it wasn't printing it, and it was in fact the application that he needed to fill
But
out.
I still applied just maybe a day later.
You applied 2 weeks late. Don't lie, Justin. I know
Okay,
the
it
facts.
was 4 days. Anyway, you don't know any facts. You just act like you know facts.
I have hard facts.
You just act like you know facts.
Say anything with confidence, and 90% of the time people will believe you. That's a motto I stand by.
You should have that on a T-shirt.
It's my life motto. My credo.
A big happy birthday to Josh or Kyle.
Josh?
Do you know? Josh isn't here.
It's Josh's birthday, and we're
No.
not doing anything.
Oh my God,
Ronald
we should have
Reagan's
done-
birthday today.
Oh, okay.
I was so sad. We forgot Josh's birthday.
Yeah, I know, right?
If
When
Josh
is
is
Josh's
listening,
birthday? We
I have
need
no
to.
clue.
What is Josh doing? I didn't read the group me.
He went home.
He just went home, and he'll be going home next week too.
Why would you go back to Minnesota?
It's so far away. Just
I know, right?
Logistically.
The other issue is he went to Iowa to help out Bernie. He didn't even tell us about it.
Well, he said he
Sad.
would.
True, but he didn't get to meet Bernie. That was the sad part.
I read a hilarious
Oh, my God.
Onion article. It was just so funny. The title of the Onion
Should we
article
start
was,
with Onion or should we start with facts about the election?
You know what?
Nah,
we'll just
start with
start with
Onion. That's
All right,
hilarious.
all right.
The title of the article was "Retreating Hillary Supporters Burn Towns to Prevent Bernie's Advance."
Oh my God, I saw that one.
So funny. I thought it was hilarious. Just picture these people with the big "I'm ready for Hillary" buttons, just setting torches to small suburbs, trying to stem Bernie's advance.
It's always been a very efficient military tactic.
Greatest strategy ever. Like, when in doubt, just burn it.
Firewall.
Cruel, but yeah, efficient.
Oh yeah, I mean, you still go to the South and you say, "Yeah, big fan of William Tecumseh Sherman. Big fan." Yeah, they will not take that well. They will
No,
not take that
no.
sitting down.
There were bad times because of that man.
In fact, the South still has not recovered because of Sherman's march to the sea. Fun facts.
Really?
Yes.
Like there's still lasting economic impact?
That's
Or-
why the South is so
Still?
underdeveloped, is because
Well-
the Union went through and destroyed like every mile of railroad that was laid down in the South.
In the Union's defense,
They tried to
they
kill us.
wanted
Yeah.
slavery to continue.
I've
They were
got no
trying
regrets.
to separate the great country of the United States.
I have a friend he's in the Air Force and he's going to Alabama this summer for training. And I said, "Man, you got to make a bunch of Civil War jokes while you're down there with all those hicks." And then we were like, "Well, why does the military do all their training in the South?" And the answer is, well, it's as close to a hostile country as you can find.
That's brutal.
Alabama in the summer is probably pretty rough.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a town in southern Alabama called Baghdad. Baghdad,
Alabama.
Baghdad, Alabama.
That was funny.
Yes.
I don't know which Baghdad I'd rather be in, to be honest.
I don't know.
Ugh, I don't
Anyway,
like the South.
great news. The Crews won. Iowa.
Yeah.
Hey, that is
Huge.
great news because that means
Great
Trump
news.
didn't win.
I would have preferred
Trump
Trump.
got
You would have
second.
preferred Trump?
I
Don't
did.
give
I
me
would,
that.
yeah.
Ew.
I would
Because you're
significant-
scared of the Crews crew. They're powering along.
Please.
You're scared
no.
of him.
Okay.
Courageous conservatives.
Courageous.
The alliteration in the Cruise camp, I tell you.
Trusted.
I always thought
trusted.
that was funny.
Funny. It's amazing. It's perfect.
Wow. Yeah,
good.
it's good. No, it's good. It's good.
That's good.
It's better than I'm ready for Hillary in flowing feminine cursive letters.
Yes.
I mean, that doesn't inspire anyone, you
No.
know? Like, feel the burn
burn?
is inspiring.
Feel
Cruise
the burn
crew?
is an excellent slogan, and you could really not mess that one up. It's burn.
It's very much so, yes.
It's Bernie.
Well, Hillary nearly got burned if it wasn't for 6 coin tosses.
6 coin tosses.
Six
Delegates.
like she needs to go to Las Vegas and like do some I don't know, betting because she's so good at it.
I mean, I don't know. At some point it was good for Bernie, the 50% that he got, the tie, but it's also a hard one because Iowa's his key demographic. And so when he can only get 50% in a place where he has a ton of time for ground game, a majority white working class voting population, and an incredible young person, there are a lot of universities there. Well, I guess there are 2, but
I
think
Does
there
Iowa
may be more
State even
than
really
2.
count?
yes.
Yeah.
I would say the people who go there would count it
Well,
as a
here's the-
university.
Oh, I
thing.
knew someone that went to U of I this past weekend. He said it was the saddest university he's ever
U of
been
I?
to.
No, I kind of like it.
You have
he
a
said
field of
Champaign
corn.
looked like a bomb hit.
Oh, okay. Champaign, Urbana. It's 2 cities that they call one. It's very confusing. I don't understand it.
Okay.
Very run down, very depressing. The place is tragic.
Okay.
It
See, he
is-
didn't say the university was bad. He said the city
yeah,
was
their
bad.
campus is really pretty. I like it there. But yeah, the city is really just, it's not
Turn us
hopping.
back into Iowa a little bit here.
We're talking
Yes.
about UI.
Rope us back
Right.
in here. Cruz won. Trump barely made it to second place. I mean, literally Rubio is right on his tail.
And 30% of undecided voters went with Rubio, which is an impressive stat. That's important.
I mean, it's very important. And I was surprised even Carson came in third, which I was very surprised about too.
Carson came in 4th.
Fourth, sorry,
Rubio
fourth.
was
That's what I
third,
meant.
yeah. But
But
he was
here's the
4th by
thing.
a long shot.
So-
By a long shot. Yeah.
In 2012, only 122,000 Republican caucus goers went out and vote. This time, over 180,000. I mean, that's huge.
Were there a lot of
Huge.
huge?
Huge.
Was there a
And-
lot of first-time voters?
Well,
I think there was a ton of first-time
And
voters.
evangelical voters doubled since the last time. So I think you have to give a lot of credit to Cruz because he hit a lot of those.
Well,
newer
so did
voters.
Rubio.
Yeah, Rubio and Trump actually. So Cruz took 40,000 evangelical. Trump took 25,000, and so did Rubio. So that was I mean, those are huge numbers right there.
And you see, and that's the thing. Like you talked earlier about Bernie not doing so well in Iowa because it was his demographic. On the other hand, I would say that Iowa's not really his demographic because Iowa is so evangelical. Even the Democratic Party in Iowa is more evangelical,
Yeah.
more Christian. And Bernie's
Religious-wise,
not,
I guess, yeah.
Bernie's
Right.
Jewish. He's not
Mhm,
Christian, so
yeah.
that's a bit of a disadvantage, I'd say. I think he's
I think it's a
definitely going to do
massive
better.
national disadvantage to him. I mean, we've never had a not Christian president, and the thought of, I don't know. I think a Jew in the White House is
See, I don't really think it matters on the Democratic side of the aisle very much. I don't.
No.
I think it will for a
No,
lot of independent voters.
I don't know, and I think it depends on who the Republican candidate is.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that
a good
there's
point.
one thing that you have to include is that evangelicals have a weird obsession with the Jewish culture and Jewish religion. Like they're
Evangelicals
obsessed with
love
it
Jewish
for whatever
Jewish
reason.
cultures.
Do
I
they
mean-
really? I don't know a lot about.
Oh gosh,
They
yeah.
love they love Israel.
Like
Well, okay, I do get. The
most of
Israel
my
thing.
relatives have gone on trips to Israel and come back with some kind of religious knickknack.
Well, of course. I mean, what else would you go to Israel to do? Get a
We have a
knickknack.
nativity scene made out of and the symbolism just goes on and on. It's made out of an olive tree, so it's olive wood, and it's got it's very symbolic. It's nice. It's a very nice set. It's actually one of my favorite nativity sets. Wow. We have several in my household, but
every good Christian would
at least
at least one.
At least one nativity. Yes.
But okay, so let's talk about the college student demographics. So, 60% of the Republican college vote went to Rubio, where the other half went to between Cruz and Trump, and then the rest it really didn't matter. But on the Democrat side, Bernie got 80%, and then Hillary got barely 20, if not. I mean, Martin O'Malley even hit up a decent percentage in that.
Bernie in the Democratic vote gets like over 50% of the 18 to 30 voting population. It's the strongest demographic.
But here's the question. Do you think if Hillary is the nominee, and I think that at this point it's still a long shot whether or not Bernie can get the nomination.
Yeah.
Just you look at I was looking at the delegates that each candidate already has. I mean, Bernie, gets half of the delegates in Iowa, but Hillary already has, 300 super delegates.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really hard to beat the establishment in both parties.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that those youth voters, though, are going to go out and vote for Hillary when the time comes? Obviously, a certain percentage will.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like, it's an interesting thing. I think a lot of the time, like, the young people are the people who don't vote. And so they're, like, I think if Bernie were not in the race, they're the people who wouldn't vote or wouldn't be interested. And Bernie has, like, he's very appealing. He's, like, the hip candidate. I don't know. I think he's very appealing.
Which is crazy how that happened.
He's 71.
I saw the most hilarious article, and it was like why young voters are so into Bernie, and then the quote was
74.
It was Bernie is the most unproblematic old white man I've ever seen, and I was like, that's exactly why we like him so much.
That's interesting though. In an era where we've talked about the lack of diversity in politics, the fact that a 74-year-old white old dude is going to be, is the vote of the youth.
And Cruz is the first Hispanic to win a first major primary or caucus, technically, in United States history. Yet no one is talking about it.
It's
sad.
How is Cruz? How Hispanic is Cruz?
Well, I mean,
his father's 100% Cuban.
Oh, really? Okay. I didn't know. I was just wondering.
No, yeah.
I don't think it takes away from that move. Obviously, it's progress.
I know, but if it was on the Democrat side, everyone would be talking about it.
And that's what I think it is. I think it's that the Republicans as a whole generally have this idea where race doesn't matter. We're all Americans. That would be the Republicans' answer to race issues. It's well, we're all equal anyways, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So they're not going to go around trumpeting, oh, look at we have a Hispanic that won, because it's not something where it's
right. We're not toting it, but we expect the other side too.
Yeah, we wouldn't care. I think it's awesome that we have, two Hispanics, an African American, and a woman running for president. We had an Indian person too for a while. I think that that's awesome, but it's not, to me, I don't know. That's the thing. It's a bit of a difference in semantics and approach. I think.
We had Rand Paul.
And Rand Paul, who has dropped out, unfortunately.
Yeah, lots of people withdraw.
But who's still in the race? Jim Gilmore.
Jim Gilmore is still in the race. He literally polled 0%.
He had 12 votes.
12 votes total?
I mean, 12 people who accidentally filled in the wrong bubble, but it was still 12 votes.
That's probably
he's still in it.
He probably has family in Iowa, and they're like, oh, we got to vote for Uncle Jim.
He's still in it. It is crazy. And he's spent only 20 days in New Hampshire, and he's still running hardcore. I was reading a Guardian article about it, and it's just hilarious.
Maybe he just likes running.
I mean,
maybe he just likes the campaign.
Remember Rick Santorum and his bus 4 years ago, wherever he was like, yeah, people just count us out, but our RV just keeps on rolling state to state. It's all right, Rick. Saying you drive an RV is not the way to make people think you're
Did you see the video online of the Bernie Sanders RV being towed?
No, I did not.
Yeah. And the caption was already using other people's money, other people's gas money.
So I don't know if you guys got to watch any of the speeches afterwards. I was watching the caucus coverage, and I got to hear both Trump's, Rubio's, and Cruz's speeches.
Until it got cut off, Cruz's?
Yes, until Cruz's got cut off. Because Cruz's went on and on
and on. Oh, my God. He needed to stop. I was dying. It was so...
But one of the things that was interesting is Cruz and Rubio, my gosh, they are hitting that evangelical vote hard.
Oh, yeah.
Like they are, which is interesting because
South Carolina's coming up.
South Carolina's coming up. But the interesting thing is, I don't know about Cruz, but I know that Rubio is Catholic.
Cruz is Baptist.
Cruz is Baptist. Okay, which is fascinating to me that a Catholic in 2016 is winning the evangelical vote. Because 30 years ago.
Well, JFK, I mean, everyone's like, you can't have a Catholic.
Exactly. There was still such an idea of anti-Catholicism in the country. There was still, very much concern about Catholics coming to power.
Good point.
So I think that's an interesting transition for sure. Does anyone know what denomination Hillary belongs to?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't come up much in the Democratic run, honestly. Like, Bernie was, and Josh shared it with us, like Bernie's response to religion.
She is United Methodist.
I mean, like, no one ever asks the Democratic candidates about like their religious beliefs, and it's not something they usually talk about.
I would be interested. To know though.
Hillary did say something about God in general during her speech.
Did you listen to the Democrats?
I did get to hear.
I
did get to hear Hillary's speech. I didn't hear Bernie's.
Bernie's was probably like 3 minutes, and I'm sure it was like, good.
Trump's was awful. Trump's was literally like.
Trump was great.
I heard that Trump's was very like respectful.
Very
and,
respectful.
But I mean,
good for him.
For Trump being respectful, you can definitely tell he had his tail between his legs. That's what I'm saying.
I know, but but if he would have kept that up now, within the last couple of days, he's been going crazy on Twitter and in the media. But if he would have kept that respectful aspect into New Hampshire and beyond, I feel like he would do even better. But I don't. I think his bombasticness is hurting him.
And this probably is just a giant judgment of the East Coast, but I feel like they respond better to restraint and kind of respectfulness than necessarily some of the southern states where it's great to be bombastic.
Yeah,
I think that's less of an attribute unless you're maybe in New York.
I would say it's the opposite way.
But you got to think about New Hampshire. New Hampshire is once you get kind of the northern New England side, there's still I feel like a lot of the Puritan kind of characteristics of restraint. I don't know.
Quakers.
I don't know. Quakers.
Those Quakers.
There are a lot of Quakers left.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know any Quakers.
Anyway, how about Jeb Bush? Have you? Okay. Jeb.
Poor Jeb Bush.
Jeb.
It's just so sad he had
that
a
name will be
terrible
the
older
new
brother.
name for Marco Polo. Instead, it'll just be Jeb. That's how they find each other. But Jeb had an embarrassing moment this past week in New Hampshire when a crowd necessarily didn't really want to applaud him. Let's take a listen into this. And we'll have your take.
I think the next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country, to get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
Oh, Jeb. Stop. You got to stop it.
Yeah, no, that's no good.
And I shared the video of him hugging that girl because she said, "Oh, maybe I'll vote for you." Stop it.
And the thing is, you look at Jeb's policies. I was just reading, I forget what it was called, but it's a foreign policy magazine. And they were talking about how the next president needs to be kind of this, essentially the exact same thing that Jeb just said, quieter but willing to act. They kind of compared it to the broken windows policy of policing, where you take care of, minor issues before they become big issues.
The Rudy Giuliani take in New York.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the kind of thing that we need, but it's not popular. It's just that because of the populism that's going on in this election, having the last name Bush is a huge liability. And I think even having the last name Clinton is a liability.
Well, yeah. But I don't even think that is it anymore, because now he's brought out his brother in a new South Carolina ad, and he's brought out his mother in New Hampshire. So I think he's kind of given up on the hide the Bush. Now let's bring out Bush, because so many establishments are dropping out.
Well, and I think that's the trick, is the establishment has by and large moved over to Rubio. And I think he realizes that. And I feel like the hard part about Jeb is there's no way to get out of this race ahead. You drop out of the race at any point. The story is the crushing collapse of Jeb Bush.
Yeah, I don't know what will happen then. He doesn't have much support behind him other than money.
Yeah.
You know, that money has to go somewhere.
The pharma guy, the most hated man in America, said he was an avid Jeb Bush supporter.
That's not great.
And
I
he
think he
supports
did it on-
Bernie Sanders, too. He said he supported Bernie Sanders.
No, he just wanted a meeting with Bernie Sanders.
Oh, yeah, he wanted to debate Bernie.
He doesn't agree with anything
Mark-
Bernie ever says. Bernie wants to use the government to wage against pharma.
That guy is awful.
What a douche.
He's truly
Martin's
such an asshole.
Schilarelli?
He's such a dick.
Schilarelli?
Yeah. Wasn't he arrested? I
Yeah,
thought he
on
was gonna
fraud.
go to jail.
Yep.
Well, he won't
Well,
because
okay.
he's rich, but like,
No.
You know.
He's in, like, bad security trouble.
Yeah.
with securities, and like that's like a huge issue, especially with the SEC coming after him. I thought the whole disrespect to the to Congress was pretty bad when he was in.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about it. I hate people that are like that. Like those
Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
know that they're rich, and so they're just going to do whatever they want.
Well, and the thing is, he said he raised the price of the product to be able to cover costs or whatever. That's not a point of the firm. The point of the firm is for you to bring value to the firm or bring maximum value to the firm. But because of his attitude and the way he did everything, that firm's going to be busted with that drug. And he already is, because another company has already come out with another competing drug.
it was like a 30-year-old drug. It was ancient. There was
Yeah.
Right, there was no patent on it anymore.
Yeah, like there was no reason why someone couldn't create a new, like it wasn't new technology.
Right, exactly. And I mean, that's the thing. Like, he's the idiot here, and there's a few capitalists out there who do support him because it's like, oh, this is capitalism. You can't say it's price counter. Well, he's an idiot. He's a stupid businessman.
Yeah, even if you take the capitalistic approach where it was being sold for something, too little than what it was worth, I mean, someone else will sell it for less than. That is capitalism, where someone
Right.
says, hey, we can, this guy's gone and shot himself in the foot.
I
We
think
can
he
make
just
more
likes
money
being
off
on
of it."
TV now. I mean, it's really just been ridiculous of how much. I don't know.
I don't know.
He's a big douche.
He is
So
always-
back to the primaries. Who do you think's going to be winning New Hampshire?
Bernie.
Bernie, definitely on the Dem side. You
I'm
don't think Hillary
surprised
makes
he's
a last
even
stand?
campaigning there right now. I think he should have gone straight to South Carolina.
I think this is his bread and butter, though, and he
No,
wants a strong
he
showing.
needs to go.
I guess. I mean, I guess like
Just
like
for
being
fundraising,
really
though, you
far
gotta think about
ahead.
that.
Yeah, I mean, there probably is a lot of money in New
I mean, and
Hampshire
he
for him.
wins by a 20-point margin.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big statement to make.
Yeah. I mean, I think like in that respect, Iowa was good for him too because he showed that he was a viable candidate at the very least.
So what about Republicans? What do you think on that side?
I haven't looked at the polls recently. Trump's ground game is puzzling right now. I don't really understand.
And
what
I
he
think what
does.
Iowa taught us is that you can't trust the polls.
No,
Yeah.
you can't at all. I mean, so here, I'll give you the rundown of the polls right now as of they are today because this just came out when I find the tab. But Trump is in first with 31%. No. Yeah, 31%. Then it's Rubio at 16.4. Cruz and Kasich are tied with 12%. Then it's Bush at 9, Christie at 5, Fiorina at 4, Carson at 3. And then everyone else has dropped out.
You think Carson drops out after New Hampshire or before New Hampshire?
I thought he already did.
No, he just went home to get
To
clothes.
get new clothes.
He had to take a nap.
Because he can't find a Macy's on the way to New Hampshire. Jesus.
Or like, God forbid you wash your clothes.
Well, I mean, like, when you're on the road a lot, I can understand, clothes get bad and you need a new, fresh set of clothes. But don't you have a staff member, go do that for you? And
Does he have a dog? He just wanted to pet it.
He needed a self-confidence booster. I mean,
But he's been
his
gone for
campaign
2
has been in a
days.
nosedive.
Oh my God.
Oh,
He had
it's
like
awful.
3 good weeks.
Yeah. Which is surprisingly still on top. I think the only reason he's still got, a significant polling number is because of his life story. I mean, people like that he's a personification of the American dream.
Yeah.
So how do you think Kasich's going to come out in Iowa? So
I
right
think
now he's
Kasich will
tied
do
in third.
very well in Iowa.
No, I'm sorry, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire, you're right. I'm sorry as well. I
Uh,
think
Did
Kasich will
Iowa.
do very well in New Hampshire. I feel like
So you're thinking he could beat Rubio?
I don't know if he. A couple weeks ago, I would have said yes, but I don't know now if he can because Rubio, his campaign is heating up now. Maybe it's a little early to be heating up,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know.
I mean, for a while there, Kasich was second. I mean, it's really this kind of like three-way going with Rubio, Cruz, and Kasich trying to battle it out, trying to figure out who's going to be there. But Bush has a solid like 10% here. He really needs to pull out something.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like, correct me if I'm wrong, but primaries award delegates on a total basis, right? Or is it a proportional basis as well? Like if you're in second, you still get delegates.
Oh yeah, you still get delegates if you're
Okay.
second. Yeah.
Oh, even in primaries.
I know for
versus-
caucuses it's like
I knew
that.
caucuses were like that. I don't know about primaries.
Well, I don't know.
I thought they were
Not sure.
winner take all.
In caucuses, it's the districts you get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's like that in primaries. I think it depends on the
Sure.
state too.
Yeah. I mean, Rubio's I'm thinking it's going to probably be Trump, Rubio, and then after that, it's a toss-up. It could actually be, if Rubio screws something up, he could go into the toss-up category, but I think Trump's going to win it overall.
See, I would agree with you, but at the same time, I think like looking at New Hampshire now, like obviously it's right behind Iowa, but I think this is a completely new situation.
I know, but do
It's
you
like
really
all the
think,
candidates are here.
But do you really think the polls can be off by 15%?
I think so. I don't think polls are very trustworthy, to be honest.
Well, I agree with that.
I mean, it depends on your sample size, sure, but Trump didn't get his people out to the caucuses. I mean, it's
True.
quite as simple. It's as simple as that. And I don't know.
Cruz had an amazing like how-to video of how to go caucus. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
And I think at the end of the day, it depends on the candidate's ground game.
Yeah. I think that in Iowa you saw that Trump's ground game was like very poorly managed.
And if we're talking about ground game, heck, Chris Christie could be up there because he's been there for over 70 days within the past, whatever. Trying to get that New Hampshire vote. So who knows? Chris Christie might actually come out ahead.
Yeah,
here.
no, and I honestly think it depends. I don't think Cruz is going to do very well in New Hampshire.
I'm predicting him around the 3rd through 5th area.
I think he knows he doesn't need to do that well in New Hampshire, though, because he
Right.
knows New Hampshire's, one, it's not going to be a state he's going to win in the president race if he's
No.
the presidential candidate. That state's going to Bernie if Bernie runs and Hillary if Hillary runs.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
But I mean, the thing
that
is,
was ever going to be a question.
Exactly.
Anyone. who
So, like,
ran
he
blue.
doesn't need to,
Right.
impress the Republican Party in New Hampshire.
and he doesn't have the best ground game in New Hampshire. He has a way better one in South Carolina.
Yeah.
So
I think the real interesting battle will be for South Carolina. Is it going to be Rubio or is it going to be Cruz? I think
mean-
that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And Bush is trying to pull it out in South Carolina right now too, because that's the first southern state closest to Florida and such. And
I think the fascinating thing about this race, just in general, is the fact that governors are not doing well. Historically, governors have been the Republican Party's bread and
True.
butter.
it's true.
They like to run governors because the Republican Party geographically has more reach than the Democratic Party. I would argue that if you look at total square mileage, more of the country's Republican because Democratic base is in
Sure,
urban areas.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say there's more Democrats in the United States than Republicans, but that's why the House is a Republican body, whereas the Senate can be Republicans but usually leans more Democrat.
It's an interesting theory. I never thought about that, but you're
Yeah.
right. I would agree.
But like that's what I'm saying is that you usually go with governors, but the fact that there are like 2 senators and a businessman from New York are winning, the primary race so far, I think that that's very interesting, and it signals a larger shift in Republican strategy.
So here's the question: do you think Bloomberg is going to still pop in?
I think it depends. Well, you know what? To be honest, I think it's very unlikely that he pops in. I think he only pops in if something happens with Hillary's emails.
Right. That's what I'm
Um,
thinking too. If Hillary drops out, I think Bloomberg pops in.
I don't think Hillary will ever
I don't
drop
think
out.
Hillary will drop.
Even if-
Hillary's slogan might as well be like, "Give it to me, I deserve it."
Exactly. It might as well be.
True.
that.
Might as well.
I mean, and I think like even if like she's indicted for the email thing, I think that we've learned that other people have been doing the same thing. It doesn't change the fact that it's illegal.
It
But it's
wasn't
a
illegal when she
technicality.
did it.
It's a
But
technicality.
It
but it was
wasn't when
intentional.
she
It
was
was
doing it.
intentional.
Wasn't illegal though.
But it was intentional.
It was against policy, but it wasn't technically illegal. She wasn't doing anything illegal.
And like that's why I think like it's not like she's intentionally betraying the United States. So I think that like
I don't think her intent when she set up the emails was like, oh yeah, like.
But I feel like it's a
Exactly.
little fishy. Because like who says, "Oh, I got a new job. Let's go put a server in my house and let's
I mean, like,
run my email there."
I'm
It's a little sketchy.
sure she just did it because, like, in my mind, there's like 2 reasons she did it.
So what's
One,
the-
because it's like very convenient, and then there's like the conspiracy theory in me.
Hold on, what is convenient about putting a server in your
Well,
house?
she wanted to use her personal
email. That
email
makes
with
sense
her
to
work
me.
email.
Did you,
She's
but
not
did
very
you see her
technologically
email
advanced.
address? It's like HR 207. Like it's nothing special.
Yeah,
well, it's probably an
just-
auto-made.
It's just like
Right.
that's just how she did it. It's just so she could use her private emails to do work too.
Yeah,
But I feel like
It was
I don't-
just her trying to be efficient.
I think I don't know if
I think it
efficient's
was
the right
like
word,
a
but I think it's
convenience
practical.
thing. It was like a convenience.
I think it's a
thing.
convenience.
No,
thing
I'm
for
not
sure.
even taking that. It's not practical. It's not convenient. If you get a new job, they're like, "Oh, here's your new email. Here's how you log in."
See, I at least know for myself, I hated using work email when I had a work email, and I hate using Whisk mail. I have
It's
everything
very
forwarded to my personal account.
Yeah.
And in the State Department, maybe that's how it had to, like, I'm not, I don't want to, like, move a defense for her, but I think that this is a technicality. I don't think she did anything insidious.
But we have tech departments in our government that says, "Oh, you want your email forwarded to your BlackBerry? Sure, we'll just add it." They could have added it.
Yeah.
It just like feels like it's being talked about like it's high treason, and in the situation that it was.
It's
I don't think it's
suspicious.
suspicious. I don't,
It's very suspicious.
That
Who
what?
buys a server once they get a new job?
because it was like a.
Jenna, no,
I-
you can't even defend this.
It is. I'm telling you what I thought it was. I don't understand like what is suspicious about it. What do you think she was doing with her server and her emails?
That's what I think is the weird thing about this is I don't think anyone knows one way or another what her thought process was. She's certainly not going to say anything
I
about
just
it.
like the thing like people talk about it and it's like Hillary's not like an unintelligent human being. She's in fact like
Right, she's very-
incredibly smart. And so
she's
like
very shifty. She's very.
she's shifty.
She's so shifty.
She is kind of
What-
shifty.
In what way would you guys describe
Oh
her as
my
shifty?
God.
Because
All
she
the
changes
flip-flops?
her like position.
I would say she's shifty the same way Mitt Romney was kind of shifty.
Okay,
There's
so,
a lot of politicians who are shifty. She's one of them too.
all right. I
I
mean,
think
so I
representing the
don't
political
think
class, yeah.
I just like I don't how like that the email situation works into that shiftiness.
If I come into a new
What do you
job,
think she was doing with the emails that
I
make
think
it
she was
shady?
That's
getting
the thing is-
outside. I think she was using it for outside resources. Like, what was the one guy that I can't remember his name that the Obama administration did not want to hire, but she was talking to them about policy. Do you remember Blumenfield or something like that? But anyway,
I don't know.
I think it's just a suspicious thing that I felt like she was undermining her bosses. If you think about it, I mean, if you don't trust your own department to take care of your email, I mean, what are you doing? You're
I honestly
suspicious as
think-
one person.
I honestly think the reason why it's suspicious is just because it's hard to understand. I don't think that there's really a good explanation of why she did it one
No,
way or another.
Think about this, Kyle. If she said, "Oh, can we just forward this to my Gmail account because it's really easy?" Honestly, I wouldn't find that any suspicious.
It's the same thing, though.
It's exactly the same.
No, no,
only
no.
the
It's
government
not the
probably wouldn't
same.
be forwarding.
Yeah,
I
they'd
know,
be
but
like,
it's
no,
not
of
the
course we're not
Gmail.
going to forward it to
Yeah,
your Gmail
I'm
account.
pretty sure.
I know, but it's not the
like-
same to go to a tech, firm in California and say, "I need a special, server to put in my house because I'm Secretary of State Hillary Clinton." No, you have the government. We have agencies. We have the NSA that does that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's stupid that she did it because I don't see the point of it,
It's
but I don't think
suspicious.
it's insidious.
I don't think it's insidious. It wasn't illegal at the time. It's illegal now. But, like, I think it's been blown up to a situation that I think it doesn't deserve to necessarily be. And it deserves to be talked about, and she deserves to be, like, scrutinized for it because in my, like, mind, when I don't think about my conspiracy theory version of it,
So,
she...
would you be okay if we found that server was hacked by a foreign agent?
It would just prove that she wasn't very intelligent with handling her privacy. It's
I
not
mean,
insidious.
it's still not insidious.
But it
She
doesn't
wasn't
Even
doing
with
her
government
business.
documents?
It's not insidious. It's
Not
just
in-
stupid.
yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, and I don't think Hillary's a stupid person, but I just
You
think
can bring
people-
someone down in the court of law for being
You
stupid
can
and
bring
negligent.
someone in the court of law for being stupid or negligent, but I don't think it. I think that average Americans, like, without political prompting, wouldn't be like, "Man, this person should never become like this person's a traitor." That's just what I think. I think it's important to talk about it, but I don't think it's not like we're like, wow, we
I'm
found
not
Hillary
saying, I'm
like
not
giving
saying she's a
documents to
traitor.
China.
I'm not saying she's a traitor. She's just incompetent fool.
I don't think it's fair to say that either.
Right.
I mean, it's not like it's Watergate.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is it's much less than Watergate.
Like 1,000 times less than Watergate.
I don't even
I
think
wouldn't
no.
even compare them.
No. I think this is worse because you have
It's worse
You
than
have-
Watergate?
because you have
The emails are worse than Watergate.
It's because you have sensitive information in the emails, Jenna, that foreign agents can see that then are Americans at risk all around the world.
Right,
Yeah.
but there's a difference between covering something up and just being like making a mistake.
Why didn't she disclose? Well, she never disclosed that she had an email address that was outside the government until we investigated her on Benghazi.
Yeah, but like that's the thing is I
Why
think
would-
politicians, like one argument can be made in hindsight, like you should always bite the bullet, but I think politicians have gotten away with a lot of stuff just because they didn't disclose.
I think if you think very, like, if I was in her place, like, and obviously I don't know what she's thinking, but, like, I'm thinking, one, I want to be president one day, and, like, two, like, I can't afford to look bad media-wise, so I'm not going to tell them stuff that they don't need to know that's going to make me look bad. And I think anyone who would do that, no, everyone's going to hide stuff that makes them look bad.
She wants to be more shifty. I mean, like what?
I mean, but like to say you would like tell the, I don't know, the idea of like a transparent and accountable government's like a hard one in like the new technological age.
That is very true. Like, what is transparency?
And it's like a
Using the
idea
government
and
email that
belief
you were
we have,
provided.
like,
That's transparency.
I think that the real scandal with this is just how uncooperative the State Department's been. I think that
they've
that's
been
more of
bad.
an issue
They
than the
have been
actual.
bad.
Because, like, I mean, they're purposely delaying a new release of emails
after
until
the
after the
primaries.
New Hampshire primary. That I think is a greater example
yeah.
of what's wrong in the U.S. government than, the fact that Hillary had a private server. I mean, and I could be 100% wrong. Maybe there was something insidious about it. Maybe it was for political reasons. I don't know. At this point, I don't know. And in America, you're innocent until proven guilty, right? So, like, I'm going to presume her innocence.
Right, and it's all up to the FBI. From all the reports that I've seen, the FBI is ready to suggest to be indicted. It's all up to the Justice Department now.
Now, do you think an indictment would kill her campaign? That's what I think is an interesting thing.
I don't know if Democrat voters care enough. That's the issue. I think it hurts her nationally if she was the nominee.
I would agree.
I don't think it would hurt her now.
I would agree that Democratic voters might not care, but I'm also going to point out the argument that the reason why Bernie's so popular is because people in the Democratic Party are sick of politics as usual. And I think an indictment would really strengthen the ideas of corruption. I mean, I don't think
would
Sanders
strengthen
himself would use it. Like, I don't think he'd, like, attack Hillary on that, but I think Sanders supporters are smart enough to be like, Hillary's indicted for something. We already think she's a corrupt capitalist who majors in cronyism. This is just more evidence of that. And I think you're going to decrease the excitement for Hillary, and you're going to increase the excitement for Bernie.
But the issue is, so the Democrat Party, where she has the largest strength, is people over 45. Will they bite the bullet and support a Democrat socialist? See, I don't know if they can do that.
I think it makes the election a lot closer, and I think a close primary always hurts the primary candidates. The closer your primary, the weaker your candidate is. We've seen it here in local elections in Wisconsin. We've seen it in national elections. Gerald Ford narrowly beat out Ronald Reagan and got crushed by Jimmy Carter.
True.
I think that that's just the way that it works. Is if you and then Jimmy Carter the next year suffered a very close election with, I don't even know who the other candidate was, and then Ronald Reagan crushed Jimmy Carter. I think
Barry Goldwater, wasn't it?
Barry Goldwater was
Before. Yeah.
So that's just what I'm saying is that Barry Goldwater was, I don't remember where Barry Goldwater was. Barry Goldwater ran against LBJ.
60s then.
Yeah, but I think that close primaries are dangerous for a candidate, which is why you've seen both parties try to make their primaries not close. I mean, the superdelegates with the Democrats, the fact that like the Republican Party went away from a proportional system and went to a winner-take-all system.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe they're not on a winner-take-all system. I'm not 100% sure. We should look at that. But I think that like the establishments of both parties realize that to win a general election, you have to have a large amount of support behind your candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Candidates that run the best are there's a reason why incumbents usually win. It's because they don't have to worry about running a primary.
Mm-hmm.
They can just start fundraising for the general election.
Yeah.
Because what Sanders
True.
has said about Hillary, like Sanders' critiques about Hillary, won't change any Republican voters' minds, but they'll change Democratic voters' minds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There'll be people in the general election if Hillary wins that will be remembering what Sanders said and said, I don't think I'm going to vote for like Hillary because... And like you've noticed that during the debates, what was the comment? Like either of us are 100% better than one of the Republican candidates.
Yeah.
I think Sanders realizes that. Sanders is very concerned about the Democrats winning overall.
Mm-hmm.
He'd prefer to be the nominee, but I think you look at the Republican side of the aisle, there's people like the comparisons that are made. I don't even know who it was. It wasn't Glenn Beck. It was some other talk show host.
Hannity.
Not Hannity.
Levin?
Levin said
Love
that
Levin.
Rubio's policies were the same as Hillary's or Obama's. Obviously not true. But that's going to cause a lot of conservatives to be like, I don't want to vote for Rubio.
Well, Levin's a huge Cruz supporter.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, Bernie has tried to like run a content fueled campaign, and he hasn't spent a lot of time bashing Hillary. In the last week, he's talked a lot about her definition of progressive and like whether she's a progressive or a moderate.
okay.
And she's a moderate, and
She's not.
Have you watched? Hold on. Have you
No,
watched?
she's not
Have you
progressive.
watched the like Democrat debates a little bit? They're
seen a
like,
little bit.
I'm more progressive. No, I'm more progressive. I just cringe. Like
It's like-
just like a
it's
weird
like- it's
feeling as a
hard.
conservative. Like
Like
ugh.
someone wanting to take the
Who
label
would wanna be
progressive.
progressive. God.
all of us, we all want to be progressive.
No,
I
no.
think that Hillary wouldn't have a hard time about the progressive thing if Bernie wasn't doing so well in the way that he is a very progressive individual, and so he like forces her to be a little bit more left than she likes to stand a lot of the time. In like debates so that she looks democratic even compared to him.
Well, and Hillary's an old school Democrat of the
Yeah.
same vein as Biden and Kerry and
Yeah.
Gore, that same strand of the Democratic Party.
yeah.
And so the fact that Bernie, who's always been on the fringe, has been is now forcing her to try to vie for the populist label. I think she really, and Obama
yeah.
kind of did the same thing. It's a bit of a replay. I wouldn't say they're the exact same race, but
Yeah.
it's a little bit of
Yeah,
a
I don't know. I
replay.
think it's forcing her to be in a position where she doesn't like really want to be or belong, and her policy doesn't belong. But I don't know. It's like an interesting thing. I think Bernie's forced Hillary to do like a lot of stuff. He's forced her to talk about Wall Street, which has been hard for her.
Now,
'cause
I
she
watched.
does have strong ties.
Yeah, she has very strong ties to Wall Street. And I watched something the other day talking. It was, I forget who it was. He was on one of the talk news shows. I think it was on CNN. And he was talking about, so Bernie's always trumping about how much of a progressive he is, but he's only passed, 3 bills, 2 of them being naming post offices. Like,
Are you serious?
there's that argument. Because, and you look at when Bernie's on the stump, the things that he's talking about, he's like, I didn't vote for this. I didn't vote for that. I didn't
yeah.
vote for that. Do you think that's a weakness to Bernie, or do you think that that's just something where people are like, oh, no, that's a good thing?
Well, think about that. You could say that's the exact same thing about Ted Cruz.
And I
Yeah.
think people do say that exact
Right.
same
And
thing
they
about
do
Ted
because
Cruz.
Ted Cruz is very outlier.
And hard to work with.
Bernie-
and hard to
Bernie
work
is
with,
very
the same way
principled,
that
and
Bernie
same
is.
as Ted Cruz. I mean,
they're
both
both
are very principled.
they're both very principled, like you said, and like they're both very unwilling to depart with any selection of their ideology for like a result.
So do you honestly think that a President Sanders could get anything done without Democrats and more left Democrats, not more moderate Democrats?
He would have a really hard time unless we got the Senate back.
But even if you got the Senate back,
even if we did get the Senate back, I think that a lot of his promises wouldn't happen. I think that if anything, he could probably start working with healthcare, and maybe he could get Social Security expanded.
That's a really interesting thing. So let's say if it was a Sanders president, but let's say the House and Senate didn't change.
I
You
think
know-
that any Democratic president would struggle to get anything through.
I would say
besides
even if you have a
executive
Democratic
orders,
House and Senate.
the same way that
Oh, no.
Obama has had a hard time getting
Conservatives would
things
be steamrolled if it was the Democrat House and Senate.
Yeah,
and-
but I think that it depends on the kind of Democrats being elected. I think if you're electing Democrats like Democrats of the same strain of the party as Clinton or Biden, I don't think that Sanders gets a lot done either, because those people have strong ties to Washington as well.
True, Kyle, but the Democrat parties does fall in line with certain things much better than Republicans do.
That's true. The Democrats are more unified as a party than the Republicans are.
Yeah. So, like, if there is a strong will thing to get, like, Plan A
some
done,
of
they're
his-
going to get it done.
I think Social Security expansion would be something that he could do if we had the Senate, perhaps. I think that he could start twisting healthcare. I don't know if he could do the Medicare thing that he wants to do.
I was just curious, like, what does Social Security expansion mean? Like, I don't know what it means.
It means that
because we already cover everyone.
So Social Security,
just more
it's running
money?
out of money.
Is it just more money?
So, like, we'll put money in for our entire lives to Social Security, but we will probably never get any money when we retire because it's going to run out of money. So
he wants to expand it for us?
He wants to lift the cap on income that you can pay Social Security for. Right now, it's capped at a certain amount of money, so if you make more than this certain amount of money, you don't have to put any more money into Social Security.
The idea
for
being if you have a lot of money, you're not going to need Social Security when you retire.
Yeah. So when it expands, there'll be more money for essentially, like, people will end up paying their lives for, like, money that they won't necessarily get back in retirement.
Do you think that Sanders would have an imperial presidency like that, though, where he's working through executive actions like Barack Obama has?
I think that if we don't get the Senate back, I think that it would.
That's a good question. Because is he constitutional? I don't know.
I think he is more constitutional
think
because
so
he's been a
too.
senator his whole life.
I think he is more constitutional than, like, Hillary Clinton. Let's say if it was Hillary Clinton in a Republican House and Senate, I think she would use a ton of executive actions.
I think Hillary Clinton would be able to compromise more, though. I mean, Bill Clinton compromised quite a bit with Newt Gingrich.
I don't know. Bill Clinton's much more likable than Hillary Clinton.
There is something to be said as having Bill back in the White House, even if it's as
Yeah, I don't think
man,
it's something
honestly.
good to be said, though.
I kind of like it.
It's
Bill
not
Clinton-
good for Hillary
I like the
to
idea
say
of
that.
it. Well, she could never say that. God, no.
I know, but that's what I'm
She's just going to have to have all male interns.
True.
She can't let
Sexist.
Bill get a
Sexism.
harem again.
She could
Good grief.
make Bill her VP.
That would
No, I
actually
don't
be
think you
very
can.
dangerous.
I don't
I
think you
would
can.
not support that.
I would
No
whenever.
one would support that. That's
Because, Hillary
that
dies
feels
accidentally.
very
I mean,
royal family.
Yeah, very much so.
situation.
See, and like that, I don't know. I really just don't like the idea of having Bill Clinton back in the White House.
Really?
I mean, Bill Clinton was a
He
decent
had great
president.
policy.
He led a
He
good.
left enough stains in that White House. We don't need to do that again.
Oh my
Quite
God! Stop being
literally.
such a prude. His only problem was he slept with too many people and got caught.
A lot of presidents.
You
have
know
slept
that
with a lot
every
of
president
people.
has slept around.
I don't think every.
I don't
president
believe. I
has.
believe in
I
Barack's
think the early
commitment to
presidents
Michelle.
did. Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin wasn't a president.
Ben
Oh.
Franklin would make Bill Clinton run for
That
his
guy
money.
was so gross.
So, like literally
he got
by the
old
end.
and so terrible.
By the end of his life, he was so ravaged by syphilis, he had to be carried into Congress.
I like when I was a little kid and read books and like little for kids and they talked about Ben Franklin and they always said, yeah, he had a lot of girls or like friends. Like they always like made it like
He was the
Innuendo.
toast of French society. He was just doing French girls
Oh, yeah.
on
Oh.
all of his trips.
well he went to France so often to represent the United States.
he just liked it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's
Oh,
a cool guy too.
Andrew
If you ever
Jackson.
want to just
I'm
research,
sure that guy was getting it.
I don't know about Jackson because he was very committed to his wife. Because the one of the things like during the campaign is some of Adam's supporters badmouthed his wife, and it
Oh,
was like the
really?
one thing he couldn't forgive. So I think
Interesting.
Jackson was a little too loyal to his wife for something like that.
Disappointed. He was like the personality.
Oh, I read something, and this might be a bit of a departure, but it was a Republican talking about how we should get Jackson off of the bill and
Hold
put
on.
a woman on the 20 instead of a
We
woman on the 10.
should. Jackson is a terrible person.
And
also-
Hamilton is a good
contributed-
person. Like,
Hamilton's
Hamilton
great.
created the bank.
and Jackson tried to kill it.
And
Jackson,
I have
yeah, he
and I have
hated
issues with
money.
that as a conservative. But Andrew Jackson was the first president that was attempted, like someone tried to attempt to assassinate him on the street, and what he did was he took his cane and beat the guy to death.
Yeah, you probably.
Jackson was terrifying.
Oh yeah.
He killed a lot of Native Americans.
Jackson's very conflicted with that though, because like there's a lot of casinos that still won't carry $20 bills because
No,
of how
they-
much they
Are you
just.
Do you have
serious?
any
Yeah, it's
idea
common.
how many Native Americans that
That has to be
person
so
is
inconvenient.
responsible
But on the
Hold
other
on, that
hand,
has
the
to be
reason
so
why
inconvenient.
Jackson, like some people believe that the reason why Jackson moved the Native Americans is because he knew that they were going to get killed, so he wanted to take them somewhere where they'd be safer. Now, people have that
That's
argument.
what all white men say.
I still think that like
That feels like a white guy
that
situation.
definitely is a white
It's
guy.
like, well, they
excuse,
were gonna
but-
kill you, so.
So we
So
sent you to
I'm
Oklahoma.
gonna make you go to Oklahoma. You'll probably all die on the way.
We're
It's
trying
fine.
to move you away from our diseases. Like we're helping you.
Would you like some blankets?
Yeah, no, I mean like the woman,
Who do you
whatever
think it should be?
organization. Who do I think should be
Yeah.
on the bill? Eleanor Roosevelt.
Why? Eleanor Roosevelt
Ugh.
didn't do anything.
No, she didn't do anything.
Harriet Tubman would be much better.
I agree.
I mean, I'm not against Harriet Tubman, like putting Harriet Tubman on the bill. I think it
Condoleezza
would
Rice.
Be nice. No,
She is a great
no.
woman in
I
the
mean-
government's history.
I'm sure she's a good
Harriet
woman,
Tubman or
but It would be nice to have like a person of color on a bill.
I think that like
Um,
Harriet Tubman's just someone that did a lot in
Yeah.
American history.
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas.
That's not a
Well,
real
that
person.
wasn't the United States.
Get
Even.
outta
Pocahontas
here.
was a real
Yeah,
person.
she was.
She was real.
Yeah,
She
she
was
was a real
real.
person.
It's based on a real story.
She also
You didn't know that?
Pocahontas also indirectly caused slavery by
Oh, you know
teaching
what?
John Rolfe how to grow
I
tobacco.
totally
True.
knew that
True.
actually.
How did you know?
No, I did know because she like
Well, and
didn't
we-
she die of TB?
In
Probably.
England, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she was. Yeah.
I do remember
but
that.
like that's another interesting thing is we've had women on currency before. Sacagawea's on, the $1 piece.
True.
Yeah, we get coins that no one
Coins.
uses.
Hey, coins
Louisa,
are very important
Louise
in
May
history.
Alcott, or was it
Yeah.
Susan B. Anthony was on? There was a Susan B. Anthony
I think there's
silver
a
dollar or
Maycott,
something.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, coins are even more significant than dollar bills these days. because
Dollar
No.
coins are stupid.
they're stupid. No one uses them.
No. Coins
No.
are much more collectible. No one collects like paper currency anymore.
$2 bills. I got 3 of them.
Wow.
Ooh.
No, I think like the whatever woman's organization was lobbying for, like a woman on a currency. They wanted the 20, and then the Treasury came back and was like, "No, we'll give you the 10, but
No,
only
no.
half of them."
And then like everyone wants it to be the 20.
Why
And
can't
then
it be
it's
the? Why can't we have a $25 bill? You know how great a $25
Why
bill
can't
would
we
be?
just have the 20? Give us one.
No, why don't you want to bet? Like, just get you a new one.
No,
Let's
we,
make a
we
new
want
one.
the 20. Jackson
Why?
doesn't deserve a dollar.
Jackson does not
He
deserve
Okay,
it.
I
hates-
agree.
He
Jackson
hated
sucks.
paper money. He hated the banks.
Famous quote from
He
Jackson:
hated
"The bank
Central
is trying
Bank."
to kill me. I will kill the bank first."
I like Andrew
He's the
Jackson.
Bernie Sanders of banks.
Well, he was.
Bernie Sanders would rather
No.
die than be on a
no,
bill, and
no,
I'm
no,
sure.
no.
That's
Bernie-
irony. Let's
no,
do that.
No, Bernie Sanders would love. What? No, sorry. Andrew Jackson was with the centralized banks. Bernie Sanders supports centralized banks.
He does actually, but
Well, I mean,
So, you're-
yeah,
you're-
but
you're
like his
conflating
excuse was
this.
the wildcat banks. I mean, Jackson like, oh yeah, just these no account banks in the West. Let's just pour them full of gold.
it's true. Jackson
Destabilize the
doesn't
entire
deserve
economy.
to be on a dollar.
He was
to
a
start
bad
off.
president.
He doesn't deserve to be on the most used bill.
I know.
And so we might as
Who
well
knew
put a
that-
successful woman on and like
No
call it
one
a
wa-
day. Everyone will be happy.
No one would have thought the $20 bill would have been our most used bill, Jenna.
Well, it is now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's
You guys
interesting.
are so against change. Just
No,
change
I'm
it.
I'm with them.
I want a
Gotta get off that
$25 bill. I just want a $25 bill.
No,
You know-
that's crazy.
No,
Why
because then it's-
would we? When would you use a $25?
Yeah,
all the
to be
time.
honest, I think a $25 bill is a dumb idea.
You would just need more change.
I can understand what you're saying in that, 4 25s goes into 100, but 5 20s go into 100 too.
It's just as
No,
easy.
I think a $25 bill would be so convenient.
All right, I wouldn't, and you're dumb. We're putting.
No, this is the issue though, because 2 10s can't go into a 25.
Exactly. You need to add a 5. You need to add Lincoln.
But then we would
Can't just have
need
Hamilton.
a
You gotta
lot-
have Lincoln. Where's the Lincoln?
You know
Did you know that Lincoln was the
Hamilton
first person
excellent.
depicted on currency because he was considered the living manifestation of freedom?
I love
He
the
was.
Lincoln.
That's why they put him on the
man
penny.
Is excellent.
The penny.
No one symbolizes freedom more than Abraham Lincoln.
True.
Or George
It's
Washington.
true. No, I
think,
mean, George
like-
Washington was a great person, and I think he gets overlooked. The interesting thing about George Washington is he could have turned the country into a dictatorship.
Oh yeah, because
And
they
he
gave it
didn't.
to him.
Yeah,
Right.
they
They
said,
were like, yeah, we got this new country.
This was-
It's gonna be a democracy. George, please,
do you want to be king?
please do this. Please
Please.
take over.
they asked him to be king, and he's like, no, we just fought not to have a king.
And it's actually really interesting. So when I was at the Capitol, this is something that I learned. The rotunda in the Capitol was there's a crypt built in the Capitol, and it was actually supposed to house the body of the first president. But George Washington specifically put in his will, whatever you do, do not bury me at the Capitol, because he knew that if they buried him in the Capitol, it would have sent the world a message that America had a king.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It'd have been like some holy kind of thing. and
Yeah.
you
George
didn't
was
want
a
that.
low-key pretty cool guy too, because like after his 4 years, he's like, I'm tired, I'm going home.
8 years. He
8
did 8
years?
years.
Did
He
he
set the
do 8
president.
years?
Precedent for the president.
And then he was like, no
And
more.
then FDR came
Goodbye.
around and had to
Darn it,
screw that all
FDR
up.
ran for 20 years.
Yeah.
You know what?
It's only because of World War II, though.
I
Plus
know.
FDR
See, I
is
don't like
cool.
FDR that much.
No, he's the worst president ever. He was a progressive.
He was
the biggest
How
progressive in
dare
the world.
you mock our king? We love him
Exactly.
so much.
I know
Exactly.
you do.
You big progressive.
We love him. So
Whereas the conservatives are like, World War II solved the Great Depression.
No, he
it
did.
did. It
He
did.
did.
It did.
It was him.
The New Deal was faltering by
The
the time
New
World War II
Deal-
New Deal
started.
sucked.
The New Deal created
The New Deal
the modern Democrat.
blew.
Yes.
Well,
and-
yes, that's
yes.
true.
And
That's
that's
true.
why
I will
we
agree
don't
with
like
that.
it.
He is basically our father.
More of a
He
father than
is.
Jackson was, who
Fathered our
started
party.
your party.
Yeah, no, he.
Jackson's the reason the donkey is the
because he's
symbol.
an ass, and he's like, "You're right, I am. I'm an ass. Put a donkey up."
Let's bring the Whigs back.
Yes, I want all my politicians with wigs.
No, I meant
like
the party.
The party, the
Oh,
Whigs.
damn.
Should probably take a history class, Justin.
No, I know the Whig Party.
Every once in a while, just brush up, read a book.
No, it would be interesting to see if we do have a growth in new parties after this election.
You see, one of the guys that I work with at the Capitol was saying, if the Republicans lose this election, it will be the end of the Republican Party.
I agree.
Or if Trump wins the nomination, you guys.
It will
are
be the
done.
end of the Republican
Yeah,
Party.
that'll be done too.
I
because
think we are on the verge of a new party system.
I
I
think
don't
there's
know.
a new constitutional party coming up.
Constitution.
That's constant.
It's like less
Hold on.
establishment.
Can you give me a second? It's gonna be very strict on the Constitution, but very libertarian on like any social issues.
Well, and I think that's what the popular American is. You look at sites
Oh, yeah.
on Facebook. I think that the average American college student is socially liberal but economically conservative. I think that there's a lot
I
of
think economically conservative on the college campus could be a flip.
well, and maybe, but
Flip
I
of
think
a
there's a
coin.
lot of people that don't like the government. And
True.
there's definitely not this and there is in some people, but I think overall you talk to most people and they'd be like, yeah, I don't necessarily like the government. After Vietnam, we still have a very negative view of the government. And the fact that what's been happening in Congress, I still think people don't have a good view of the U.S. government. I mean, what? The mayor in Toronto who did cocaine while in office had higher approval ratings than Congress did. Which is sad
True.
because Congress is the U.S.'s greatest invention when you really think about
I mean,
it.
it's built not to be liked, though.
Oh, it's built to be inefficient, which is fascinating. Government's built to be inefficient.
Which is good,
I mean,
I think.
Yeah.
it's what the founding fathers wanted, I guess.
All right.
And we know how much you love the founding
Yeah.
fathers, Jenna.
Not as much as you guys, because
we
it's
love
impossible.
the founding fathers.
For
Anyway.
sure.
I'm like fond of their belief in democracy.
All right,
democracy. I just
You
like,
South Africans,
I
stop
hope
it.
that like when they signed it and it was like
Does South Africa have founders, or is it just like, England founded us, so...
they're still a Commonwealth.
Yeah.
I was
but-
watching a segment on the John Oliver show about the Commonwealth Games, and that was hilarious because it's just when like the UK reminds the rest of the world, they're like, "Hey, we owned you. Remember that? Let's play
Canada
stupid
is
British
still a
games."
Commonwealth.
Yeah, the Queen is still the Queen of Canada and Australia. So if
Yeah.
like the UK goes to war,
They
the
have
Queen
to.
goes to war, they have to go
Yeah.
to war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
They're all Commonwealths. South Africa really can't afford to be a
And-
Commonwealth anymore.
The Queen owns all the sea animals within 50 miles of the UK. Did you know that?
really.
She owns them.
England is a fascinating place.
It is super weird. London
just
was
a-
so funny. Like we went over the winter break and we were like at the Tower of London, and I'm like, yes, beheadings. I was like learning all about the beheading. I was
Nice.
so excited. Julia was like, all right, shut it down. You're too excited about torture right now.
Well, and like I think the fascinating
and
thing
then,
is like
across the street are like all these skyscrapers, and we're in a castle, like looking at skyscrapers.
I love that. That's
And
so
I'm like,
cool.
there's so much history here.
Yeah, that was the weird thing. That's the weird thing about the United States. And I think when you talk about American exceptionalism, that's what exceptionalism really means, is that we are the exception to the rule. It doesn't mean that we're exceptional in everything we do.
Oh no, God no.
It means we're the exception. We never had an aristocracy. We're the one place on earth
We're
without an
literally
aristocracy.
300 years old. We
But
didn't
that's-
have
that's-
time.
We're super young. We're
Yeah.
super young.
We're so young. I mean, Rome celebrated its like 12,000th birthday or something. It's not.
Oh, yeah.
It's 5,000 years. But I mean, in like what? We've been here for not even 300.
Yeah. Living large,
Yeah,
300
literally,
years.
George Washington was just born like couple generations ago.
Yeah,
I mean,
when
you
you really
count it
think
on your
about
hand. 5 generations ago.
Well,
George
Thomas
Washington.
Jefferson had sex with his slaves like super recently.
Not that much.
No.
recently.
No, Jenna.
Maybe you need to take a history class. But I mean, time is fascinating. Think about that. The Civil War was only 150 years ago. World War II was only 70 years ago. Crazy.
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 It's
and
true.
and she's 2 decades old.
Two
old.
decades,
2
of
decades.
life.
2 decades. Crazy. Well, I don't think we got to your ISIS stuff.
Are we done?
I mean, we can be. We're up to an hour.
Yeah, we are up to an hour. Wow, that's a power segment right
That
there.
was
was-
a power segment.
Sorry we had no like
Breaks.
you
You
know-
just had to listen to our. There was no theme. We just
no
were random
theme.
talking.
Not really. Yeah, we just
We
kinda,
just had a conversation.
Just
Man,
conversation.
darn it, we're like NPR.
Oh,
No.
Justin's
Gross.
worst nightmare is that we become NPR.
NPR is the worst.
It is.
I like NPR.
No,
Yeah, it's because you're a lib. Libs love
Libs
NPR.
love-
NPR is a
I don't even
good.
think anyone actually likes NPR. They're just like, I'm a liberal, therefore I must like
I do
NPR.
like
So true.
NPR.
And jazz. Those two things go hand in hand.
NPR
Like, no
and
one
jazz.
actually likes jazz. They
People
just pretend.
like
jazz.
jazz.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
I'm disgusted, Justin. You're a
She got-
conservative. You have to listen to Bruce Springsteen and country music. But you have
No.
to misinterpret the Bruce Springsteen
No.
songs
Yes.
like pro-American anthems.
Really,
I
really
refuse.
misinterpret.
I
Bruce
Like,
refuse.
born in the
Springsteen's
USA, you've got to understand that it's not actually about Vietnam. Like, that's what the liberals tell us.
No,
But
no.
it's really about how awesome America
I
is.
It is
refuse
about
to
Vietnam.
be a stereotype in light country music
Bruce
as conservative.
Springsteen is not a country artist. He's an American
No,
hero.
I know, but she said country too.
I do enjoy Bruce Springsteen.
That guy's awesome. He can play for like 4 hours straight. His band takes a break and he's just like doo 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 doo.
Born in the USA is one of the best songs ever made, even though it's
Ugh.
not about the USA
So
particularly.
sick of that song.
Vietnam.
Think about that. That's fascinating. And maybe we probably shouldn't talk about that now, but just a quick tidbit. What other
There's no
event,
time limit.
What
Yeah.
other event has spawned so much music other than Vietnam?
It was the time period too.
I think it was
The
the time
Roaring
period.
20s?
Music was popping.
A ton of music.
Yeah, but
coming
what
over there.
war started that? What political event started that? I'm not saying
Does
the
a political
era.
event have to start music?
That's what I'm saying is that Vietnam was unique in that it spawned music. No one wrote music about, the Gulf War.
Fair enough.
I mean,
no.
pop music, because that's what Bruce Springsteen was. Is it was a pop musician. The Beatles were pop musicians. Billy Joel's pop musician. All these bands that wrote anti-Vietnam songs were pop musicians.
I don't know. The American Revolution? I mean, there was a
Did
lot
we
of songs
have
that-
music back then?
What are you talking about? There was tons of music that came out of that.
Although I guess you could say the Civil
Yeah,
War,
I'm
but
sure
it's
there was
because
music.
Do we even
Did
have?
music even exist then?
You realize in 1750 that was like 100 years after like Bach and Mozart and everything.
Well, yeah, but no one sits on a street corner and plays Bach.
Have you ever been to
In
New
Germany?
York? Yes, they do.
Well, New York. New York.
All throughout Europe.
New York doesn't count as a place.
All right. We're going to call it here. Thanks for listening to The American Pundits. You can check us out on Facebook.com/The American Pundits or American Pundits on YouTube. Anything else you guys want to say? Let's go cruise in New Hampshire.
Oh, yeah.
Whoop,
Super Bowl predictions. Quick.
Oh,
quick,
yeah.
quick, quick.
Broncos.
I have no idea who's playing.
Oh, my God.
Do you even like American football?
No.
Darn.
You're hosting a Super Bowl party tomorrow.
What?
All right.
I say Panthers.
Who said that?
Yes, last night you told me.
Oh, did I?
Actually,
Did I
Abby told me
really?
that too.
Abby,
Okay, come over. You're all invited.
you invited me last night.
Abby said, we're going to Jenna's house. Quote, she has a big TV.
I do have a big TV. It's my roommate's TV.
Nice.
Anyway, you.
I guess
Broncos?
you guys are invited.
Panthers.
No.
Cam is amazing. The Panthers are unbeatable.
Cam is a
American
cocky
football
bastard.
is
No, Cam
terrible.
is not.
Soccer is much better.
Cam makes the game
You
fun.
should just watch soccer. Or if you
No.
wanted to watch people hit each other, rugby.
Oh my God, you are not an American. All right, we're
I
going.
am. I took that test.
Stop it. All right,
I did.
check us out next week on Facebook.com/The American Pundits for next week's show, and stay tuned.